Welcome to the next video on VEP. In the previous video, we have just described this term environmental ethics. In this video, we are going to discuss in detail about environmental ethics. So let us start. First of all, we will discuss about last person experiment. As the name suggests, this is the experiment when only one person is involved or remaining on the earth. This is devised by a philosopher named Richard Routledge. Basically, he devised a thought experiment. And what exactly is the experiment? Let us see. So you have to imagine an earth where everyone has died except for one. So only one person is remaining on the earth and everyone has died. Now, before this man dies, he goes on eliminating animals, plants, and every living thing he can. So he is eliminating all the living creatures around us. In your opinion, has he done anything morally wrong or objectionable? The first question. And the second question, the most important thing, if you were the last man, then how you would have reacted in this situation? So basically, last person experiment talks about it. Think about this and write your observation on your notebook. So let us start. If you see this, Prakriti Rakshati Rakshita, or nature protects if she is protected. This is the logo of Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. It is MOEFCCC of Government of India. So if we protect nature, then we are also going to be protected. Basic meaning is that an environmental ethics revolves around this concept. So Prakriti Rakshiti Rakshita. We are aware that environment is important for us for our own well-being. But the thing is that until recently, most of us have not bothered about the impact of our behavior on the environment. Why? Because we have think that the environment is capable of repairing itself. That is, the thing is that it seems that we have been content to assume that the environment could and would look after itself. So what are the cumulative effect of impact of modern technology, population growth and increased consumption? We are seeing this thing. Fast depletion of natural resources. Whatever resources are available on the earth, the planet earth, we are seeing that these are depleting. Extinction of a species. Many species have been the past, not appearing nowadays. Habitat destruction, climate change. You can see all those things that acid rain is beginning to have a devastating impact on forest, agriculture and water resources. So basically, these are detrimental to human beings. And we are heavily dependent on the environment. and the most of the choices made by human have ecological repercussion. What are the choices? Like choice of food, how we travel, that is mode of travel, recreation practices, what type of home we are living, how we are disposing our waste, so waste disposal practice, how we are using energy, family size, one of the important thing, that is number of children. All these choices and many more have a repercussion on ecology or the environment. So these are the major impact that modern technology, population growth and increasing consumption is giving to the planet Earth. Now the question arises, what can environmental ethics can do for us? If you remember the meaning of ethics, which has been covered earlier, it refers to the morals, values and beliefs of the individuals, family or the society. So whatever ethics can do for us when applied to non-environmental concern, environmental ethics can do for you to environmental concern. So whatever environmental concerns are, if we are going to deal with this, then we are talking about environmental ethics. Now the question is, what is meant by environmental ethics? Just see, environmental ethics means conscious effort to protect an environment and to maintain its stability from the hazardous pollutants. So our behavior, our consumption, the modern technology is producing some hazardous pollutants, and the ethics, the environmental ethics is the effort for what? For protecting this environment and maintaining its stability from those hazardous pollutants. So literally environmental ethics means that. We can say that environmental ethics is the study of moral issues concerning the environment, as we have discussed earlier in the previous slide, that we are concerning the ethics in the context of environment, moral perspectives, beliefs or attitudes concerning those issues. So in other words, it is the study to explore the ethical roots of environmental movement and to understand what ethics tells us about our responsibility to the environment. So the crux of the matter is, what is our responsibility towards the environment, and this is going to be dealt by this environmental ethics. Now just see, if we see minutely, three terms have appeared. What are these? Anthropocentric, biocentric and ecocentric. Before we discuss the things described by Holmes Rostand, let us understand these three terms. If you consider that only humans have intrinsic value. Okay, then we are talking about anthropocentric environmental ethics, or we are making human as the center. Now, if you consider that non-humans, which is animal and plants, are having intrinsic value, then it is called biocentric environmental ethics. And if you consider biological and ecological entities have intrinsic value, then it is called ecocentric environmental ethics. So these terms are what? Human centric, non-human, that is animal and plant centric, and ecological entities centric is ecocentric. So what Holmes Rostand pointed out, that environmental ethics stretches classical ethics to its breaking point. And what does it mean by classical ethics? System of morality that apply only to humans, and such ethical systems are anthropocentric, meaning what? Human is at the center. But environmental ethics goes beyond humans, and what it includes? The moral concerns for other mammals, perhaps lower animals and plants, that is biocentric, and finally even entire ecosystem. So this thing we have to keep in our mind. Next, again you are going to see some terms, that is non-living, sentient collectives. So before we discuss this statement by Sandler, let us understand what exactly it means. Sentient means having the ability to use your senses to see and or to feel. In Hindi we can say it as samvedansheel, meaning of sentient, or sachetan. So what exactly it says? Sandler said environmental ethics thus broadly relates to value of nature and ecological relationship, covering ethical significance for non-living, that is landscape, living but not sentient. So they are living but not having the ability to use the senses to feel or see, that is not having the feelings. For example, plant. Next category is what? Sentient but not humans. They have the ability to use their senses, but they are not humans, that is animals. And collectives. What collective means? Species and ecosystem. So all those things, covering all those ethical significance for all those categories: non-living, living but not sentient, sentient but not human, and collectives, is concern of environmental ethics. Now the question is, what are the types of concern for? If you have heard in the words of Martin Luther King, what he said, we must work passionately and indefatigably to bridge the gulf between our scientific progress and moral progress. So there is a gulf between scientific progress and moral progress. And one of the greatest problem of mankind, he pointed out, is that we suffer from a poverty of the spirit, which stands in glaring contrast to our scientific and technology abundance. So there are scientific and technological abundance, but there is a poverty of spirit. So basically, when we talk about types of concern for environment, we are talking about with respect to ingenious responsibility. Okay, so what are the types of concern? Because engineers are the usually creators of the technology, and technology contributes to both the things, environmental degradation as well as environmental improvement. So technology is concerned with environmental degradation also and environmental improvement also. Therefore, engineers should have a professional obligation to protect the environment. So for that we must be knowing about types of concern. Type 1 is health related concern. When environment pollution poses a direct and clear threat to human health, like air pollution causing the diseases related to lungs and all those things. So they are directly affecting the human health. So first concern is health related concern. Next is non-health related concern. So basically in this concern, human health is not directly affected. We may see that we are depleting our forest resource, leading to the climate change and all those things, but they are not directly affecting the human health. So these type of concerns are under non-health related concern. So basically we are having two types of concern. One is health related concern and another one is non-health related concern. So the question every engineer should ask himself or herself while choosing a career, there are some list. What are the questions? Why you are going to choose a particular career? Before you are going to adapt or act, you have to ask this question to yourself. How does and to what extent a particular industry affect the environment? How far such ill effects can be controlled physically and or politically? What is the reasonable protective measures available for immediate implementation? In what way I can be effective as an engineer in ensuring safe and clean environment? What are my responsibilities in this regard? Do I belong to nature or nature belong to me? So these questions must be asked by every engineer before joining a career so that he can contribute towards the environment protection. We have seen in brief about the code of ethics, professional code of ethics, in the previous video, which says about what are the obligation or what are the responsibilities of an engineer. So in these we are pointing out what exactly is the obligation towards the environment. The Codes of American Society of Civil Engineers (ASCE) states about the engineers that engineers should be committed to improve the environment by adherence to the principles of sustainable development so as to enhance the quality of life of the general public. So, principles of sustainable development. As we have discussed earlier, sustainable development is the term used for making the choices and using the resources in such a manner so that whatever we are using in present, the future generations can also use that resources. So engineers have the obligation for what? Improvement of environment. And how they are going to improve? They are going to adhere to the principles of sustainable development. While ASME Code of Ethics says that engineers shall consider environmental impact in the performance of their professional duty. So they must assess what exactly they are doing, what kind of effect it can generate towards the environment. The codes for Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, that is IEEE, says that engineers to help paramount the safety, health and the welfare of the public, to strive to comply with ethical design and sustainable development practices, and to disclose promptly factors that might endanger the public or the environment. So the paramount thing, the ultimate thing that every engineer should keep in mind while doing their duty, that the safety, health and welfare of the public is not going to be endangered. They have to follow the practice of ethical design and sustainable development so that they cannot endanger the public or the environment while making a choice. Now, the approaches to resolve environmental problems. What are the approaches? Cost oblivious approach and cost benefit analysis approach. Here you are seeing one term, that is oblivious. Before we discuss these two terms in detail, let us understand what exactly this term means. Oblivious. Oblivious means not noticing or realizing what is happening around you. So basically in Hindi we can say that आप बेखबर हो अपने आसपास की घटनाओं से, ठीक है. In general, so oblivious means not noticing or realizing what is happening around us. So cost oblivious approach, what exactly this term is going to mean? That we are not going to consider cost as a paramount. We are not concerned with cost. We are ignoring the cost. So cost oblivious approach. Now the second is cost benefit analysis approach. So in this approach we are going to consider the cost and the associated benefit. There is a trade-off. When we see that benefit is exceeding the cost, then we are going to consider such project or do such kind of work. So these two are the approaches to resolve the environment problem. Now let us discuss one by one. Cost oblivious approach. You can see here priority is given to the protection of environment. We are not concerned with the cost of products designed by the engineers. Whatever cost may be, we have to give the priority to the protection of environment. It does not tolerate or accept any environmental degradation. Satisfies the concept of rights and duty ethics, because we are concerned with the rights, that rights of living being, and we have the duty to protect the environment. So it satisfies the concept of rights and duty ethics. What exactly is the limitation? Difficult to sustain and enforce in a modern urbanized society because everyone is giving priority to profit. If you remember the 3 P's, one of the aspect was profit, another one was people, and the next one was planet. So basically everyone is nowadays is concerned more with the profit. So in modern urbanized society this is difficult to sustain and enforce. Next approach is cost benefit analysis approach. What exactly it is? If you remember utilitarianism in engineering ethics theory, we have talked about this, that it is derived from cost benefit analysis. We are going to associate cost with every activity a project is going to do, and we are going to evaluate the benefits from that project. If the benefit exceeds from the cost, then we are going to pursue that project. So the problem is analyzed in terms of the benefits derived by reducing the pollution and the cost required to solve the problem. The objective is not to achieve a completely clean environment. In cost oblivious approach, we have said that the environmental protection is the utmost priority, but in this case, objective is not to achieve a completely clean environment, but we have to achieve an economically beneficial balance of pollution with health or environmental consideration. So if economically we can wear, then we are going to go ahead with the project. Now what are the drawbacks? It is very difficult to determine the true cost of a human life or the loss of species, and also it is very difficult accurately the assess the cost and benefit. Now we cannot actually assess the cost and benefits accurately. So this is the major drawback of cost benefit analysis. Now the important term is technology assessment. What exactly it means? It refers to the studies on the social and environmental effects of technology in various areas. So basically engineers are concerned before applying the technology or any new thing to the world. We have to assess what are the impacts on society and environment. In the view of economist Robert Theobald, basically what he said, that we are trying as an engineer to find the right answer to wrong question. So curriculum must be designed in such a way that we should find right answer to the right question. So when an engineer and scientist conduct experiments, they should distill the information collected through normative, conceptual and factual inquiries. What exactly it means? Basically, engineers should use this funnel approach like this to design and build the engineering projects. What exactly is this? That we have to inquire scientifically. So scientific inquiry. Then we are going to use this inquiry to find the distilled knowledge, and then we are going to apply in engineering. So engineering application. So what is the difficulty in technology assessment? The difficulty is that to explore the extent of the effects and to prioritize the possible adverse effect. So we are saying that we are assessing the impact of technology on various areas, but how to prioritize the possible adverse effect and how to explore the extent of the effect is one of the major limitation, or rather to say the difficulty, the major difficulty while assessing. Even then, we have to try to minimize the impact on environment by making this assessment soundproof. Now, coming on to the next topic, that is philosophical views of nature. What are the philosophical views of nature? Sentient centered ethics, we have talked this term: sentient, biocentric ethics, ecocentric ethics, and human centered environmental ethics. Let us go these ethics one by one. This view acknowledges the inherent worth of all sentient animals. If you remember, sentient means what? The animals having the ability to use their senses to see and feel. So they have the feeling ability, they have to see and feel. So Peter Singer emphasizes that moral judgments must take into account the effect of our action on sentient animals. So we are going to concern the effect on these animals. According to Tom Regan, conscious creatures have inherent worth not only because they can feel pleasure and pain, but also because they are subjects of experiences who form beliefs, memories, intentions, preferences, and can act purposefully. So, this type of ethics is focusing on sentient. So, that's why this is called as sentient centered ethics. Next is biocentric. This life centered ethics recognizes that all living organisms as having inherent worth. So Albert Skelter, what he said, that all organisms have the reverence for life to survive and to develop, and this type of ethics is called as biocentric. Next is ecocentric ethics. We are talking about in terms of ecosystem. So emphasizes inherent value in ecological system, and according to the Leopold, a thing is right when it tends to preserve the integrity, stability, and beauty of the biotic community. Next is human-centered environmental ethics. As the name suggests, we are concerning the human as the core for this environmental ethics. So it extends the traditional ethical theories. What are the traditional ethical theories? If you remember, utilitarianism, duty ethics, right ethics, and virtue ethics. In the aspect of the threats to human being presented by destruction of nature. So virtue ethics, it draws attention to humility, appreciation of beauty, love and affection, and gratitude towards the world of nature. Right ethics, fundamental right to life, enforces a right for livable environment in a particular period of time when pollution and depletion of resources have reached a dangerous proportion. So right ethics is talking about the right to life. Duty ethics, it urges that the respect for human life implies more concern for nature than has been traditionally recognized. And utilitarianism stresses that human pleasures and self-interest are linked to nature in so many ways, apart from the stage and engineering products are produced from natural resources. So these are linked with the nature, just not for the pleasure and all those things. We have to find the balance between what exactly is being produced and what we are utilizing. References are this. Thank you for watching this video.